It was a game of missed opportunities for the Panthers on Monday night against the 49ers as they failed to grab a hold of sole possession of first place in the NFC South. Let's take a look back at the good, the bad, and the ugly from the Panthers' latest loss against the Niners.
You are Locked On Panthers, your daily Carolina Panthers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into another edition of the Locked On Panthers podcast, the part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, as always, Julian Council, talking Carolina Panthers with you every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and yes, of course, Friday, your team every day. That's our motto here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for watching the show right here on YouTube and listening wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Today's episode of Locked On Panthers is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. And be sure to follow me, Julian Council, over on Twitter and Blue Sky at Julian Council, because on Wednesdays, typically, not today, but typically, I'm answering your weekly Wednesday mailbag questions. All you got to do is either at me or DM me over on Twitter or Blue Sky at Julian Council, the same handle, and I'll get to your questions the next time we have the weekly Wednesday mailbag. It's a short week, so don't want to do it today. And honestly, the main reason I don't want to do it is I'm just exhausted. I don't want to have the conversation about Bryce Young and about Dave Canales as far as, does Bryce belong here in Carolina long-term? Should he get the fifth-year option? Why does it look this bad after looking so good last week? I don't want to do the whole, should Dave Canales hand over play calling to Brad? I don't want to do it today. I really don't. Every single time this team loses, I get those questions. I get them every single time after a loss, and I just don't want to do it today. I really don't. So I'm tired of it. We have 5 more games left in the season, 6 more weeks. There's plenty of time for those conversations, especially about Bryce's future after the season is over. He's the starting quarterback for the next 5 weeks. Whether you like it or not, he's starting the next 5 games. So we're going to see Bryce, and we're going to get hopefully a firm conclusion of where things stand with Bryce in this organization after the season's over. We don't need to do it every time they lose. We don't need to do it even after he has a career day like he did last Sunday in Atlanta. We don't need to do the referendums after every single freaking result. So I don't want to do it. And with Dave Canales, the play calling, it's not great. I don't understand how Bryce is allowed to cook one week, then it looks as bad as it did on Monday. Some of the decisions that were made, I don't get it. But he's not handing over play calling. And at this point in time, they've played 12 games. It's week 13. What the hell is giving play calling to Brad Idzik, who is literally his right-hand man? What is that going to do? What is it going to do? Because the quarterback has shown time and time again that he's largely incapable of having positive passing performances. It's just not who he's been over the last 2+ seasons, nearly 3 years in Carolina. And Dave has shown that he really hasn't been that great of a play caller. Will Brad be better? I don't know. But I feel like that's something that we can wait and discuss after the season. I've discussed it plenty of times this year. I'm done. And as you can hear, I'll reach my breaking point when it comes to Bryce and Dave, their relationship, whether he's the right play caller, he's the right quarterback. I don't know. All I know is Dave's the head coach right now and for the next 5 games. Bryce the quarterback right now and for the next 5 games. And then the season will be over. They're likely not going to go back to the playoffs again. And we can talk about this all throughout the offseason. And by the way, that decision that needs to be made about Bryce will not happen in all likelihood until late April. It does not need to be made until the beginning of May. So we'll talk about something that they probably won't officially announce until 4 months after we have the conversation, once we get to the end of the season in early January. But I digress. Got plenty of things we'll talk about on the show. Other than that, I've said my piece for the time being. Again, I'm exhausted. And that's what comes with the territory. I've been talking about this team every single freaking day of the year. We'll go over Tre'von Moehrig, who will not play on Sunday because he decided to punch Jauan Jennings in the family jewels. That was idiotic. Dave Canales did tell us how it was a game of missed opportunities on Monday. We'll talk about that here later on. But let's start off this episode by starting off every episode we have after a game reaction show. Typically, we do this on Tuesday. We're doing this now on Wednesday. Let's go over the good, the bad, and the ugly from the Panthers' latest 20-9 loss against the San Francisco 49ers. The good. Jaycee Horn very clearly was outstanding in that game on Monday night. And at the very least, despite the Panthers' offense not being ready for primetime, the defense certainly looked that way, even though they were completely banged up and they lost guys throughout the evening and having to play far more snaps than the offense was able to stay on the field on Monday night. At the very least, the rest of the country got to see just how good Jaycee Horn is and has been when he has been healthy here in Carolina. Last year, the first season, he was fully healthy. He did miss 2 games at the end of the year. Either way, 15 games played. JC finally got the nod as a Pro Bowler. And looking at this season thus far, 2 interceptions last night, now ties him for the NFL lead with 5 interceptions. At a 94.0 PFF grade and 94.7 coverage grade, he has been outstanding this season when you take away that Saints game, when they needed him to go out there and get a stop against Dallas, when he said, I'm going to cover George Pickens, Jero, enough of what we're doing here with this zone coverage. I want him mano-a-mano. He shut him down. That helped Carolina win that game. He's a stud. He should be a Pro Bowler yet again, and quite possibly the first time his career will be an All-Pro. We'll see how that plays out. Now, unfortunately, he went out there at halftime with a concussion. Those symptoms, this started to kind of present themselves as a head injury at halftime. He did not play in the second half. He's in a protocol. We'll see whether he's able to play on Sunday against the Rams or not. But Jaycee Horn clearly was a part of the good. And the entire defense really was a part of the good. Because, again, the offense, not ready for primetime. The defense looked ready for primetime, even though no Trevin Wallace, no Jaycee Horn in the second half, no Corey Thornton later on in the second half, no Christian Roseboom, injury after injury after injury, and they only gave it 20 points. Christian McCaffrey, he got his, but he wasn't explosive as far as the way he played in that game on Monday. Not necessarily any big pass plays were given up on Monday night, either to guys like George Kittle or Jauan Jennings. I thought the defense played fairly well, and 3 takeaways should have been enough for the Panthers to be leading at the half on Monday. Instead, the Panthers offense could not do anything at all. So JC had his 2 interceptions. Mike Jackson got his interception as well. Some plays made by Shaw Smith-Wade and Bam Martin-Scott, guys having to step up as Corey Thornton and Claude Sherlis both went out with injuries in that game on Monday. So the defense overall was a part of the good on Monday night in that loss. The bad, the lack of carries for running backs, man. This offense cannot find balance. Last week, when going to the game against Atlanta, I talked about, can they find something in the pass game and take pressure off of Rico Dowdle, who had been on the injury report the last 2 weeks, and really the last 3 games was battling through a quad injury. Could they find a way to not necessarily run him into the ground, as they're going to need Rico in the final 6-7 games of the season in order to get to the playoffs and to achieve a lot of the goals that they have set for themselves this year in 2025. And the offense, as far as the passing game, was outstanding against Atlanta. The run game, not so much. And that was back-to-back weeks against New Orleans and against the Falcons, where they did not run the ball effectively. On Monday night, they did run it effectively when the running backs actually got to touch the ball. 9 carries, 54 yards, 6 yards per carry. They have yet to find balance. They didn't do anything well offensively last night. They did run the ball well. They just didn't run the ball a lot. They did not throw the ball well, which has been a common theme throughout the season here, even going back to last season as well with Bryce and Dave and that partnership, which, again, we're not going to get into too much today on the show. We'll table it for the time being. I have not seen a balance, and that's the one thing that I'm waiting to see. But it's been 12 games. There's 5 more left. This is who they are. They're just not going to be a high-level passing game. They can run the ball, but they have a play caller and a head coach who just does not stick to the run for whatever reason. One of the first things he ever said, maybe he should have never said this, because had he not said it, you and I and everyone involved would not have this stuck in their heads. stubborn about running the ball. That was not the case. And Dave said after the game on Monday night that after seeing how well they threw the ball against Atlanta, they want to see they can continue that. And as we saw, that clearly was not the case. Whether it was Bryce being off target, some drops, those are big issues for the passing game on Monday. But the run game looked pretty good. And Rico Dowdle, he tweeted out a little dizzy emoji. Maybe he was upset about not getting more than 6 touches on Monday night on the ground. And Dave was asked about this on Tuesday afternoon when meeting with the media. That was just a couple of moments ago. We spoke to him, and he was asked whether he's going to talk to Rico about it and whether they'd seen it. He said no. So we'll see what comes of that. But 9 carries, 54 yards. That is by far the lowest total of the season for the running back as far as attempts goes. Also the lowest of the Dave Canales era. Again, stubborn about running the ball. The lowest also since week 4 against Arizona in 2022 as far as the 9 carries that the running backs had on Monday night. Chuba has started to look like his old self. Rico has slowed down in recent weeks, but I think it's a lot about the opponent and then also his head coach basically benching him last night in favor of trying to throw the ball around the yard, which they did not do successfully. They got to get back to running the football, and they've got to find a way, if they can at all, to get some balance. Probably won't happen this Sunday against the Rams. So have the bye week, try against New Orleans after that. Bryce Young was also part of the bad. I had someone hit me up in my DMs over on Twitter at Julian Council, upset that I spent too much time talking about how bad Brock Purdy was because Bryce Young apparently was worse on Monday. I, for one, didn't think that Bryce was worse than Brock Purdy. Now, Bryce did have an interception. That was horrible. The second one wasn't great, but the broadcast was saying should have been a pass interference, or at the very least a hold, was not called on the defense. So that's a bad job by the officials, something that we should have asked Dave whether they sent that one into the league office. So I'm looking at that as not really on Bryce. Now, he did have 3 turnover-worthy plays, which is the most he's had all season. Now, he's had a couple of games with 3 turnover-worthy plays according to PFF. So that's obviously not great, but he did not have 3 plays that resulted into turnovers like Brock Purdy. Bad interception, bad interception, bad interception. He looked awful. And Bryce obviously did not look good as he had a 40.3 PFF grade. That's the second lowest he's had this season. That's only ahead of the game against New Orleans a couple weeks ago. He went from throwing for 448 yards and 10 yards per attempt to 169 yards and 5.8 yards per attempt. So he went from a magical day to going right back to who he's been all season long and really who he's been throughout his career. So last week was an anomaly. This week, this is the standard. This is who Bryce Young is at this point in time. And until all of a sudden he wakes up week after week and starts throwing for 250 yards plus and multiple touchdowns and no interceptions, this is who he is as a quarterback. And if you look at the 39 games that he started in his career here in Carolina, in only 12 of those games has he posted a positive EPA per dropback. Only 12 has he added points to the scoreboard for the team on an expected play average. That's all you really know, folks. It's not been good. So there you go. For the person out there who was upset that I didn't bury Bryce Young, even though like every single time they lose, we could do that. And again, it gets exhausting. The ugly, clearly scoring 3 points off of 3 interceptions on back-to-back-to-back drives was the ugly part of the game. The first half offense, 3 first downs. That's the lowest since only having 2 in the first half versus the Chargers in week 2 of 2024. That game, Bryce Young was benched there after. The 72 yards was the lowest total in a half this season. It's the 5th time this year the Panthers offense has had less than 100 yards in a single half. They did so in losses against the Saints, where they had less than 100 in both halves, a loss against the Bills, and of course a loss on Monday night against the Niners. And then in that second half against the Falcons, the 30-0 win, they only had 83 yards. So that offense was bad week 3. We didn't talk about it at the time because they were 1-2, got a big win against a divisional opponent. Everyone's happy. But if you really looked at it, gross. Offense sucks. So the offense was bad last night, and they cost him the game. And then finally, Tre'von Moehrig. What are you doing? I understand. Jauan Jennings, he went to Tennessee. Tennessee people, those Vols, VFLs, most annoying people on planet Earth. So I'm sure he's out there doing a whole bunch of bull junk in that game. Doesn't matter. You can't punch a dude in the family jewels and think you're going to get away with it. And then after the game, it's not like Tre'von thought he was going to get away with it. He said he expected to get fined. No, buddy, you're going to get suspended, which is the case. And he's going to appeal. What's there to appeal? Like last week when Ja'Marr Chase spit in the face of Jalen Ramsey on camera, he appealed. What are we appealing? We literally see the saliva coming out of your mouth, dog. And with Tre'von Moehrig, we literally see you punch the guy. And now you're going to cost you. I mean, they're already get their ass whooped against Los Angeles anyways. So I guess why not get 2 weeks off instead of only having 1 week off as they have a bye week after the Rams game. But damn, come on. You can't have that happen. So that's the good. That's the bad. That's the ugly. And that's my rant about being sick and damn tired of having to make every single loss and even wins a referendum on whether Dave Canales is a good enough play caller, whether Bryce Young deserves to be the quarterback in 2026 and beyond. We can do that another time. It was a game of missed opportunities. That's what Dave Canales told us on Monday night. And then he echoed that again on Tuesday afternoon. We'll go over what more he had to say here in just a moment on Locked On Panthers.
Today's show is brought to you by our friends over there at Peloton. Look, folks, it's time to break through the busiest time of the year with a brand new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus that's powered by Peloton IQ. It's Peloton's most elevated technology and equipment yet that gives you real-time guidance, and it gives you endless ways to move, whether you want to work out by yourself or if you want to work out with your favorite instructor, like my personal favorite, Alex Toussaint. He always gets me fired up to tackle the day. And the thing I like about Peloton, it helps me achieve more in less times. They have features that help you plan, stay motivated, track your progress, and Peloton IQ also provides personalized workout plans and recommendations. That's something that I use right now during the busiest time of the year covering the NFL. They plan my workouts for me based on my mood, my vibe, and also my favorite instructors. So make sure you check it out and use it because it also helps you correct your form in real time, and it maximizes your reps. It counts your reps so that you can do it smarter, safer, and more efficient. Let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Back here on Locked On Panthers, going over what Panthers head coach Dave Canales had to say to the media a few moments ago. Just got off the Zoom here before recording the show today. He said last night on Monday, it was a game of missed opportunities. Where have I heard that before? Yes, that's right. Our old friend, Ron Rivera, now general manager of the California Golden Bears football program. Interesting how that's going. But yeah, Ron used to say that. I've brought that up here on the show plenty of times. And I was watching last night and I was thinking to myself, that definitely feels like a missed opportunity getting the interception after deciding to punt, not go for it, even though ESPN analytics are saying, and conventional wisdom would tell you, be aggressive in that situation. Worked out for Dave. Jaycee got the interception, set them up in plus territory. Bryce got them down to the 2-yard line. Interception. Missed opportunity. Next time around, Mike Jackson gets an interception, a 3-and-out. Another missed opportunity because you got to catch the ball there on third down. Terrell McMillan, didn't happen. Next time around, Jaycee Horn gets another interception, puts him back in the plus territory. They get to the red zone, drive stalls, missed opportunities. So that happened throughout the evening on Monday and is why they lost the game. If you convert all three of those into touchdowns, or at the very least, you convert them into 17 points, you're in position to win the game. But they didn't do that. So it is what it is. It happens, right? Just add 2 more words in front of, or 2 more letters in front of that, if you'd like. So yeah, that was not good. The lack of running game, talk about that with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Part of the bad: 6 carries, 54 yards for Rico Dowdle. 9 carries, 54 yards for Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard, respectively, in the game. And it's funny how finally you look at a running back rotation that makes sense. It's not you get this series, you get that series, you get this series, you get that series, and rotating back and forth. It's, okay, you're out there. Are you tired? Chuba, go in. Hey, we like you in this package. We like you in that package. It made sense. It looked like a coherent plan. But yet, they didn't get the ball. Why is that? Dave said he's got to make sure that comes alive, that it was a missed opportunity by him, and he has to do a better job. Yes, it was a missed opportunity, and yes, you do. You probably do need to do a better job getting your backs the ball, especially when I appreciate the willingness to try to see if you can recapture the passing game from the week prior. I even said on the Keys of Victory, let Bryce Young cook. I don't know if we really saw the game plan allow him to cook. It didn't work, what they were trying to do. So it's not going to work on Sunday either, probably against the Rams. We'll see if it can work after the bye week against New Orleans down on the road. Jaycee Horn, Tre'von Wallace, rather. Both those guys still in concussion protocol. Sorry, not Tre'von. Clon Shereless. Jaycee Horn, Clon Shereless in concussion protocol. Tre'von Wallace, shoulder. He's been listed as week to week. We'll see how he progresses there. The way that Dave spoke about him made it seem like there was a positive vibe heading into the game on Sunday against the Rams. Now it's pretty quick turnaround. They just got back this morning or whenever. So I'm guessing that they haven't really evaluated him that much. We'll see. They'll have the injury report come out sometime Wednesday evening, being another West Coast team. Those won't come out until about 7:00 Eastern time here locally. So that's where that stands. And as I mentioned throughout the year, when it's a serious injury, he'll tell us on Monday, or this case on Tuesday. When it's something where it's going to be more week to week, day to day, he won't give us anything until the official injury report comes out on Wednesday. Corey Thornton, though, he was willing to let us know what was going on there unprompted. Corey Thornton has suffered a fractured fibula in the game on Monday night and will be out for the rest of the season. He was in a soft cast last night heading out of the stadium, was seen by reporters in the locker room with that. So he's done for the year, which now means that the only healthy corners at this point in time are Mike Jackson, Shaw Smith-Wade, a Caleb Evans, and then Kalen King, who's on the practice squad. Now, JC could be good to go on Sunday, but as far as guys who are not expected to be on the injury report heading into this week, it's Mike Jack, it's Shaw Smith-Wade, it's Caleb Evans, and then Kalen King. Not the best situation for Carolina looking at their secondary, and that's even including not having a starting safety out there on Sunday afternoon against LA. So there's some Monday, or rather Tuesday, press conference updates from Dave Canales following the Panthers' 20-9 loss on Monday Night Football against the San Francisco 49ers. Talk about the ugly, Tre'von Moehrig. They caught you. It's not just a fine. It's a loss of a game check, and it's a loss of a game. We'll talk about Tre'von Moehrig's suspension here in just a moment on Locked on Panthers. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. All you got to do is just go and look at a game this weekend in college football that you think is going to be a cake win. I'm guessing how about Bill Belichick and the North Carolina Tar Heels? While they've improved, Belichick sucks at this, and the Heels are a complete joke of a program right now. Doesn't make me feel any good saying that, wearing this shirt, but NC State getting those dudes at Carter Finley on Saturday night sounds like an ass whooping to me, and what that means is put $5 on it, money line. That's $300 in bonus bets. That's free money to bet on. I told you here first, so head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Back here on Locked on Panthers. After the game on Monday, there was a little kerfuffle between Tre'von Moehrig, Panthers starting safety, and Jauan Jennings, the starting wide receiver there, San Francisco. And why was there a little bit of a rift between those guys? Well, apparently, they did not exchange very pleasant words throughout the game. And after the game, Mike Jackson even said in the locker room he had nothing good to say about 15. I said it earlier on the show. Jauan Jennings went to Tennessee, and I was living in Nashville back at the time when he was at UT, and that was just complete dumpster fire under Butch Jones at the point in time. The only guy who really came in every single week with fire in his belly to win, to give his all for Tennessee, was Jauan Jennings. I had a lot of respect for him on the field. Since then, there's been a little shenanigans that I've seen from afar on an opposite coast. I still respect the way he goes about his business as far as his work ethic. But clearly, other players not in San Francisco 49ers uniforms don't appreciate how he goes about his business. And one of those guys was Tre'von Moehrig. And how did he show his lack of appreciation? By right there in the FAMU Jewels on Monday night. Not ideal. Not ideal. Yeah, selfish act. You can't do that. Dave Canales was asked about it on Monday night, said he would talk to Tre'von about it. He said on Tuesday, they spoke about it, had a good conversation. I don't really know what all you can tell your player other than, like, are you effing kidding me, man? Come on. I get what he did's wrong. And you have Kyle Shanahan after the game saying, I'm so happy that Jauan didn't lose his cool there. Okay. Sure. I guess that's the right response, is to not lose your cool. Even though, didn't he fight the dude after the game? I guess he didn't lose his cool in the middle of the game. So good for that for happening. And Tre'von Moehrig, he did lose his cool in the middle of the game. And now he's been suspended and will also lose his game check. That's worth $65,000. So not ideal for that to happen for him and his wallet, but also for Carolina. He's going to appeal. I don't know how he's going to win this appeal. He's going to have former players, either Derek Brooks, Ramon Foster, who does a morning radio show in Nashville. Speaking of that, Jordy Nelson, remember him? He's also one of the hearing officers that were jointly appointed by the NFL and the NFLPA to handle these on-field player disciplinary actions. That appeal will, of course, be shot down, and he will not play, and he will lose his game check. So this is not a good situation because you look at it, Corey Thornton, again, done for the season. Jaycee Horn, his status up in the air for Sunday. Christian Roseboom, I don't know. Trevin Wallace, also not sure about that. TBD. They could be down 5 starters defensively in this game when you look at, well, Corey Thornton, who just became a starter 2 weeks ago, he's out for the year. JC could be out on Sunday. Trevon's already out, so that's 2 for sure they're going to be out. Christian Roseboom could be out again. And then Trevin Wallace could be out. That's 5 guys against the best team in the NFL coming to your house. It is what it is. Another piece of news, some transactions the Panthers made as far as their practice squad. They have signed veteran linebacker and former Clemson standout Isaiah Simmons to the practice squad, and they released Travion Thomas, the safety, from the practice squad. Once upon a time, it was draft night 2020, the pandemic. Don't miss it. And the Panthers had a decision to make. They could draft someone like Isaiah Simmons, a versatile Swiss Army knife type of player, or they could sign or draft, rather, Derek Brown. They went with Derek Brown. And there's plenty of people who were a little upset thinking, why didn't you take a Clemson player? Isaiah Simmons has been awesome, would have fit perfectly in this defense. And then after that, around later, they got a guy in Jeremy Chin who could do exactly the same things as Isaiah Simmons and actually did him better when he's here in Carolina. That's until the new defensive coordinator, Gerald Rivera, showed it in town. And now Jeremy's on his 3rd team in 3 seasons. But yeah, Isaiah Simmons did not work out with the Cardinals, did not work out with the Giants, and wherever, I think the Packers is where his last stop was. Now he's back here in the Carolinas. Dabo, you got another one here in Charlotte. Congratulations. So we'll see how that plays out. They're not sure. Dave is not sure where they're going to use him, whether it's going to be on the back end at safety, at linebacker with the injuries that they have there. He could be used on special teams. That's something that Dave mentioned. He may have a chance to be elevated to the active roster on Sunday. So we'll find out whether that happens or not. So those are some updates there, some newsworthy things for the Panthers heading into this short game week against the Rams on Sunday. That's going to wrap up this edition of the Locked On Panthers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, hosted by yours truly, Julian Council. Again, y'all subscribe or follow the show for free over on YouTube or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And be sure to follow me, Julian Council, over on Blue Sky and over on Twitter at Julian Council, where I will be back with y'all next Wednesday, answering your weekly Wednesday mailbag questions. In the meantime, be safe, be happy, be whole. As always, keep pounding. And even though Thursday's Thanksgiving, the weekly or the crossover Thursday is still going on. So tune in for all that here on Thursday on Locked On Panthers. What a terrible finish by your boy.